the offensive rebound putback.
Andre Miller playing in his 5th game in a Spurs uniform since being waived by the Timberwolves and getting an opportunity to go to a team that many people feel will make a deep playoff run. Shot clock down to 3. Kawhi Leonard underneath against Wiggins. And the Wolves get the rebound.
Minnesota was in Charlotte last night. San Antonio was in Indiana as Andrew Wiggins Euro steps his
much of the game to the Pacers, who had to hold on to win it late. Danny Green with the triple.
Kawhi Leonard was 1 of 7 from outside the arc. Had some open shot attempts at the end of the game. They could have actually won that game very easily had a couple things gone their way.
The Spurs took a season-high 28 threes, and they took a season-high 96 shots altogether, but finished the game 35.4%. And only hit 4 of those 28 three-point attempts. Kawhi Leonard
is a complete player now. I mean, he's defensive player of the year last year.
He's the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week. 2nd time he's won that award this season. He's already been a Finals MVP.
Midnight.
Levine. Towns takes it inside on West and is able to get it to go.
See what I'm saying about how he works under the defense, Dave? Beautiful job by Carl, be able to go under the arm that time of the defender.
Aldridge. As the Wolves and Spurs continue to trade the lead here. 5 lead changes already in the first 4+ minutes. Spurs have won both of the first 2 meetings this year. They'll only meet.
Chief did. And it's very similar to what LaMarcus does.
It's a good call. Rubio.
Unblockable. I mean, like, you know, just guarding Robert Parrish, it was impossible to block his shot. Just like it is LaMarcus Aldridge. Kevin McHale had a high release point too, but Kevin kind of brought it behind his back a little bit. But behind the back of his head a little bit.
Kawhi
Nice
Leonard.
take by Kawhi Leonard, man. He just is so good at driving the basketball. He kills you in so many different ways offensively.
Really has become a complete player. Rubio on the baseline.
Talks mainly about offense and kind of disallows the defensive part of it, but still, it's still #1 and by 20-year-old rookies, and it's just it's an impressive thing, right? I mean, it's just when you're talking about all time, that PER number.
I mean, it's amazing. By the way, that foul on West was his 2nd, so that's why he checked out. Boris Diaw is in now for San Antonio. Gorgie Jang from just beyond the free throw call. Boban Marjanovic comes up with a rebound. He played extremely well in the last meeting between these 2 teams in late December down in San Antonio. Had 17 points in that game on 7 of 7 shooting.
That's the move I'm talking about. Nice move, but just not the finish that time. We saw LaMarcus Aldridge make a similar move. It's so hard to stop that momentum of the post player.
Blocked from behind.
It's off the other elbow, and then they get that pass over the top. It's a staple play by San Antonio. Great screening.
Sets up Rubio for the 3. Towns unable to come up with the rebound, and here come the Spurs. Andre Miller has scored the last 6 points for San Antonio. That was until just now. Kawhi Leonard, who has had a relatively quiet evening, makes his 3rd shot of the night.
Good hand time by Kawhi, and the big hands and the strength and the power of his game. And so, I mean, we can put together a Kawhi Leonard pack right now that incorporates Kawhi Leonard in pick-and-roll game, Kawhi Leonard in transition, Kawhi Leonard in post-up situations, because that's how he pummels you, other than just in spot-up situations, because he's #2 in the NBA in 3-point percentage. So spot-ups is the #1 way that he drives offense, and he shoots it at a high rate. So field goal percentage-wise, I mean, he's right there with J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick leads the NBA in 3-point shooting. Kawhi Leonard's #2.
Levine, tough take, and gets hit as he puts it up.
And it's difficult.
6 previous games coming into tonight that he started, his assist-to-turnover ratio, it's about 1-to-1. 17 assists, 15 turnovers over that stretch. But he has certainly been a positive impact player for the Wolves.
Look at that rebound. My goodness.
Leonard comes down with it, is fouled by Adrian Payne, and that's going to bring about a timeout on the floor. When we come back, Jim Pete scouts Kawhi Leonard. Stay with us.
Here in each home game, the Minnesota Timberwolves, along with the Roger James and Foundation, honor military personnel as part of our Heroes of the Pack program. Tonight's hero is machinery technician second class Paul Hill, a member of the United States Coast Guard. In 2009, he enlisted with the U.S. Coast Guard. He's currently assigned with the Marines.
Hola, tenemos a Howard. Él ha sido parte de nuestra manada por 12 años, así que aplausos para él, Super American Member Spotlight.
Three-point game here in downtown Minneapolis. Jim Peterson, what is the scouting report on Kawhi Leonard?
Well, again, Kawhi Leonard was Defensive Player of the Year last year. I think he's going to be Defensive Player again this year. San Antonio's defensive rating is just so high. Kawhi Leonard's a big part of what they do defensively because he can guard multiple players. And then, in terms of three-point shooting, as I said, he's second in the league in three-point shooting. And he's just a guy that has just improved his game. So player development's been huge. And like I said, post-ups, he can beat you up. Transition, he can sprint, dribble the ball up the floor, and then finish at the rim at a very high rate. And then in pick-and-roll game, he's very good at handling the basketball and using screens. So he can set screens, but using screens and handoff actions, he just is so good at moving without the basketball. So Kawhi Leonard is the ultimate, I think he's the ultimate basketball player.
Career highs.
Just look at his physical attributes. I mean, is he the ultimate basketball player? He and LeBron James, I mean, they are just so physically dominant.
Career highs for Kawhi in points, shooting percentage, three-point percentage, free throw percentage, and minutes this season. Greg Popovich basically made him the man for this team coming into the season, and it's not something that Greg Popovich just gives somebody. They have to come in and earn it, especially when you've got a team laden with veterans. But he has won the respect of all of his teammates in his 5th season now out of San Diego State.
He's the gentle giant. He's quiet, doesn't say much.
Although he's had to open up a little bit because now he gets so many requests for interviews. Towns.
Still not sure I've heard him speak that much. I mean, I've heard him in a couple interviews, but it's not like he's overexposed. I mean, this guy is like one of the greatest players that's underexposed in the history of the NBA.
You're right about that. I could think of a post-game interview with Craig Sager on TNT earlier this year, but you're right, you don't see him a ton. And Marcus Aldridge adding to his point total. San Antonio with its largest lead of the game.
You might see Kawhi Leonard in an HEB commercial in San Antonio locally. Those are always pretty well produced, by the way. Whoever does those commercials locally in San Antonio does a great job.
Payne, no, and Kawhi Leonard comes up with the basketball. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists tonight for Leonard. Kawhi could do the spin-off to that Marshawn Lynch Pepsi commercial where Marshawn doesn't talk. Rubio, long outlet to Levine. Dangerous pass, knocked out of bounds by Patty Mills. David West going to check back in for Marjanovic. David West picked up 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, but has avoided a third. Dangerous pass taken away. Patty Mills turns on the afterburners. And now San Antonio expands its largest lead of the game with a 15-5 run. Rubio directing traffic. And Ricky will draw the foul from Kawhi Leonard. That's the first in the final 2 minutes, so no free throws as yet for Minnesota. Victoria Messina, I asked him about how much he relishes the opportunity to coach this team. Obviously doesn't like the circumstances.
San Antonio does a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball. They've only had 1 turnover in this game, too, and only given up, well, 2 points. They turned it over once, Minnesota scored on it.
Rubio finds Levine in the corner for the 3. Ricky gave up what appeared to be An open opportunity out of the layup.
Another deflection.
Mills the other way, and mercifully for the Wolves, it's off the mark. But after the Wolves led 42-41 with 5 minutes to go, San Antonio, Tom Hanneman went on an 18-5 run to take this 12-point lead into the locker room.
Dave still ahead at the half. Kevin Lynch locks in on the Timberwolves bench quiet last night, adding a boost here at home. The Wolves Whiz Kids have their hands full tonight. It's youth versus experience, and the new kids on this block are hanging tough tonight.
Players and coaches, highlights, stats, and more. The flagship station of the Timberwolves Radio Network, 830 WCCO. Save an additional 5% on targets every day. Low prices with your Target Red Card.
Because they didn't defend the three that night in Milwaukee when they gave up 14 three-pointers made. And so it's a three-point defense. They don't pay lip service to it in San Antonio. They get out there and they defend.
The problem is that the Timberwolves are giving up a high shooting percentage, period. 52.3% for San Antonio. Before that, missed by Kawhi Leonard. And San Antonio this season, 28-0 when they shoot 50% or better.
That's Andrew's shot, by the way, keeping Patty Mills in a backup role where he's used to.
And Andre Miller's contributed 6 points and 3 assists tonight. Gorgie Jang over David West. Leonard, that was too easy. Kawhi now into double figures with 11. And the Spurs shooting 54%. I mentioned San Antonio undefeated when they shoot 50% or better. The Timberwolves, they've given up 50% or better 23 times this season and are just... Karl Anthony Towns called for the foul. That's his first to the game.
It's Tony Parker hiding behind his teammates. Jonathan Simmons.
Manu Ginobili here as well. I don't believe Tim Duncan is actually here. I haven't seen him tonight. He is in the building. He's just not on the bench. San Antonio
laying back in the training room on the training table right now, relaxing.
San Antonio now with its largest lead of the game. Sam Mitchell will use a timeout when we return. Who has the best floater game in the NBA?
Oh, here we go.
Find out. Jim Pete's top 5 coming up next.
Each assist he makes will help generate regular support for Minnesota Special Olympics athletes. And State Farm believes in recognizing individuals and organizations that strive to make a difference in their communities. On behalf of State Farm, I'd like to present tonight's Exist.
A really gifted layup shooter. Steve Nash is one of the greatest of all time. Minnesota has one too, by the way, but plays in the WNBA. Lindsey Whalen is one of the greatest layup shooters of all time. Doesn't have floater game yet, but Tony Parker is the best in the league.
Wiggins, no. Leonard comes down with it. Who's got the best floater game in the WNBA?
I'll tell you who had tremendous floater game in the WNBA, one of the best I've ever seen, is sitting over there on the San Antonio Spurs bench. Becky Hammond, one of the best floater game, might be the greatest of all time in women's basketball. Her floater.
Aldridge for Kawhi. San Antonio just continuing to find the bottom of the net. 56% shooting now, a 9-0 run. The Wolves have allowed 3 straight opponents coming into this game to shoot 50% or better. Going back the last 13 games, the opponents are averaging